We're starting this hour with a peaceful remembrance which has been planned at Shannon Airport this weekend to honour the life of Hind Rajab, a young girl killed in Gaza in 2024 on what would have been her 8th birthday. Organiser Martin Roper says the gathering at the Peace Roundabout on Sunday will focus on reflection, music and a call for peace, while also raising questions about Ireland's role and neutrality. And I'm very pleased to be joined in studio by Martin Roper, who's working with the Shannon Sunday Peace Vigil group. Martin, welcome to studio and thanks for coming in.
And thank you very much for having me in. And I do want to say I'm representing myself this morning while I'm working with the Shannon Group. I do want to say anything I say is out of my mouth. And
solely your own views, okay.
And my own heart.
This is a case, and I mean, there've been so many cases highlighted since 2020, the end of 2023, in terms of what's happened in Gaza. Hind Rajab's death, murder, is one that really stood out, given her age. And I suppose that, one of the stats that stays in my mind, Martin, is I think it was 355, the number of bullets that were fired into the vehicle that Hind Rajab was in. Can you tell us why it is important to mark what would have been her 8th birthday with this event?
I do, thank you. And odd as this sounds, before we get into it, I want to congratulate Ray O'Driscoll, the new CEO of the Shannon Airport Group, on his new job, and the fact that we now have 2.3 million passengers going through Shannon. It's the highest number in 16 years, and it makes Shannon the #1 airport brand in Ireland. And I'm very proud of that. For many years, as a writer and as a Fulbright scholar, I brought American students into Ireland. I'm saying that because it's very, very important to emphasise that we all want to grow Ireland and grow our business. Because sometimes the messages get confused. Hind was not quite 6 years old when she was travelling with her family, fleeing Gaza in a car with her uncle and aunt and 4 cousins when they came under tank fire. And over 300 bullets were pumped into the car. Her uncle and aunt were immediately murdered, as were 2 of the cousins. One of them, she was 15 or 16, Leanne, survived long enough to call the Palestinian Crescent Emergency Services and report where they were and what was happening. And as she was on the phone, she screamed and she too was murdered. So Hind, 5 years and 7 months old, lay on the floor, surrounded by dead bodies, bleeding out. And amazingly, the mobile phone rang, and amazingly, she answered it. And for the next 3 hours, this little girl pleaded for her life. She asked that they come get me. She said she was afraid. As it was growing dark, she said she was afraid, and come and get me. And so for over 3 hours, she lay on the floor with the dead around her. And when she was asked, was her family with her, she said no. And they were confused by that because they knew they were with her. It took them a while to realise she was saying no because she already knew that these human beings who were surrounding her were dead. And so the Palestinian Crescent were phoning in to try and get the coordinates. Israel insists on directing everything in Gaza and refused to give coordinates, then gave coordinates, then changed so the ambulance could come and collect her and save her life. Hind was on the phone. She was a very bright, intelligent girl. She wanted to be a doctor when she grew up to save other children. She loved the guitar. No one knows that, but that was what this little girl was like. And in her last minutes, as the ambulance was coming towards her, when the guy finally got the okay, she went silent. And the operator on the phone said to her, "Hind, why are you silent? Why are you not talking?" And there's a long silence, and then Hind said, "I've blood in my mouth." And the operator said, "Oh, are you hurt? Are you hurt?" She said, No. I don't want the blood to go on my shirt because it will upset my mother. This is a child who'd been under intense fire for over 3 hours, and her concern was that her mother would be upset that the blood coming out of her mouth would go on her shirt.
It's just
The ambulance then arrived, and it was about the distance from where you and I are sitting to the front door of Clare FM. Its lights were on, but not any siren. They explained that they couldn't see a lot, but they were approaching the vehicle and they could see Hind. That was the last words the two ambulance men spoke. A missile went into the ambulance and blew it apart. That missile was an American-built missile. It's an MH-30A1 missile. It's about the weight of a full-sized Labrador retriever. It's about 20 pounds or 20 kilos. And so the Israeli army blew up an ambulance that they knew was coming to save Hind, and they murdered her. The reason I'm sitting here with you this morning was last year I was in Cork and I went into a restaurant and I was wanting to do, I've been standing at Shannon Airport for 21 months every Sunday morning for 3 hours, holding a sign saying beep for peace. And I thought, I'm tired of doing this. I'm not going to stop, but I need to do something else. And I walked into a restaurant and I was trying to signal to the waitress, who turned away from me, and on her back she had a black t-shirt with the words Hind Rajab. And it was like the child was talking to me. And I thought, this is something we can do. We don't know if any of the US military planes that have refueled and gone through Shannon, and there's hundreds of them. We've had 4 million US soldiers. I lived in America for 25 years. I love the country dearly. I got a Fulbright scholarship to go there. I owe it a lot. But we don't know if all the US military planes that have gone through Shannon, if any of them carry that missile that murdered that child and murdered those two ambulance workers. So what I'm going to do on Sunday is have a very peaceful and calm and loving and merciful vigil for Hind.
Martin, I want to ask you about our government's approach. You have raised concerns about the use of Shannon by the US military, and we know when Eamon Ryan was Transport Minister, he was beginning the process of setting up inspections of these planes. That's fallen by the wayside, obviously, with his departure, and the Greens not part of government. Ireland has a long-standing position in neutrality. Do you believe that has long been challenged given the current situation?
I'm not going to name names, but I'm not a political animal and I'm not a religious animal, but I've sat down with two high-ranking government ministers and I asked them, did they believe in our neutrality? And they said yes. I then asked them, did they fully support US foreign military going through our airports? And they said yes. And I said, so you are neutral on the side of the United States? And they said, oh, well, I wouldn't put it like that. And I said, would you be happy with 4 million Russian soldiers going through Shannon? Would you be happy with 4 million Chinese soldiers going through Shannon? And they said, don't be ridiculous. People I know who care about peace in Shannon and care about Shannon's name, our good name, and care about not damaging the brand of the Shannon Group, would say, search the warplanes. I disagree with them. I think that's the wrong request. I think stop the warplanes. It's a civilian airport. Our government says it's a miscategorization when people say it's a war port. And I agree with our government. I agree with our Taoiseach. It is a miscategorization. It's to categorize Shannon, one would say it's a civilian airport. And I believe it is. So why are 4 million foreign soldiers whose job is they are trained killers? That's what soldiers do. They are trained to kill. Why are their planes landing here? Do they need to refuel? Is there a logistical reason why any warplane needs to refuel in any Irish airport? The answer is no. So the only reason we do it is why. That's a rhetorical question.
Well, I guess, can the rhetorical question be answered by, its importance in terms of the money it brings in, and I guess given our dependence on the US in terms of foreign direct investment and all that entails, there's a cognizance of staying on the good side of the US.
What I would ask this question: what money does the US military bring into Ireland? I might be incorrect, but I don't think they even pay landing fees. Someone more expert than me can address that. I don't think they pay landing fees. As regards foreign investment, I think governments come and go, militaries come and go. We have business connections with the United States, with Europe, all over the world. They will continue regardless. I've worked in business my whole life. I've worked in universities my whole life. I'm very aware of budgets and bottom lines.
So you don't think if we stopped the US military coming through Shannon Airport that would be seen as a snub or a rebuke by the US administration? And we've seen, any country that says anything, like Friedrich Merz, the German Chancellor, his comments about the US being embarrassed in terms of how they're dealing with Iran, straight away Trump threatens to take US troops out of Germany. There's always potential retribution.
Look what happened in Spain when Spain said, we're not engaging, we're not allowing the US military to engage. What happened to Spain? Nothing. And nothing will happen here.
You think it's all bark and no bite?
I am certain it is. But even if it wasn't, and I'd say to the listener now, if you're sitting in your car or at your kitchen table, and if you have children, and if your wife or husband came into you and they were carrying their child's body parts in a plastic bag, would you say, yes, it's worth it? Because we need jobs. We need to protect the 10,000 jobs in Shannon Airport. Shannon is very successful, will continue to be successful under Ray O'Driscoll. I absolutely believe it. But I would ask Ray O'Driscoll, do you think, can we make profit and business out of peace and not out of war and not out of violence? I think we can, Ray. And I want you to work with me and work with the people of Ireland to make Ireland and make Shannon a peaceful airport.
Martin, Sunday is when this peaceful remembrance will be happening. Should people wish to join you, where exactly and what time will it get underway?
Thank you. It's going to be at the Peace Roundabout at 1 o'clock. I'd suggest you get there a little bit earlier. It's from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. All you have to bring is a sense of mercy, a sense of peace, a sense of love in your heart. We're going to have a nurse from Galway with her own guitar singing a version of a famous Sinead O'Connor song, and 3 or 4 other people singing as well. I'm also going to be addressing the most famous man in Ireland, who I have a famous relationship with dating back. You can ask your listeners who indeed is the most famous man in Ireland. Himself and myself, this sounds like hubris, are going to bring peace, maybe not to the world, but we're going to bring peace to Ireland and peace to Shannon Airport. I am determined we are going to make Shannon Airport truly a civilian airport. That's my goal. It's going to happen. And Sunday, 1 o'clock at the Shannon Roundabout. Please come with peace in your heart. We're going to start to make it really happen. Thank you.
Okay, Martin Roper, who is working with the Shannon Sunday Peace Vigil group. Martin, thank you very much for joining us this morning on the show.